Hey, what's going on? It's Adam here. And today we have a question from Dana, and it's how do I set my own goals but still allow God to move me? Actually, one of the things that drives me nuts is when I see believers go, I'm just waiting on God, and they don't take action or have their own goals. They're just always waiting on God to do everything, and they hardly do anything. And on the other side, if you're too ambitious, it can also be dangerous because then you get ahead of God and then you're not able to be sensitive to being moved by God. And so there's this balance between these two relationships. And I think a practical example was in the beginning of our marriage with me and Brianna, we didn't have a budget in place. And so, she would come home with a second pair of heels and I would get triggered because I was like, oh, that's so wasteful. We don't need that. And she'd be like, no, we do need it because they might not make this heel again. And I got it on sale and I love this design and I want to have a backup. And there would be backups of purses and backups of outfits. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And so the conviction that I got, right? Because we have to be tethered to the heart of God to really be able to be sensitive to what he's leading us to. And I was in prayer saying, hey, I don't want to have fights, or I don't want to not be right with my wife over financial reasons. And so I felt a conviction to put a budget in place, right? So as we got our budget in place, we set aside a certain percentage of our income that we could blow on whatever we wanted. So what's cool is that now she has a card that's her budget, and she can bring home a third pair of heels. She can bring home a second or third purse of the same exact design. And I do not care. It doesn't bother me. It no longer creates fights in our relationships because we have set that boundary, right? So God led me to the conviction to set a budget in place, but I was the one who actually wrote the budget out and looked at our numbers and used wisdom to be able to make that decision, right? It's a partnership rather than just doing one or the other. It's not an either or, but an and. So I'll give you another practical example in business. So, every year when I start my goal setting year, I always look at, okay, what amount should I set my goal for in my business? Because if I get ahead of God and I start putting a goal that's going to require my health, it's going to cost me being a dad with Milana, it's going to cost me being a husband with Brianna, then the goal is not worth it, right? I get ahead of God. And at the same time, if I set a goal short, then I'm not reaching the potential that I should be going after. And so there's a saying that says sometimes when, you ask for $1, God wants to give you a bank, and other times you ask for a bank and God can only trust you with $1, right? So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to get ahead of God, but I also don't want to fall short of what he wants for me. So I'm going into my prayer closet asking God, what is it that I should be asking for this year? Because I want what he wants for me. I don't want more and I don't want less. And so once we understand that, then we have a safe place to goal set, and we could be able to set those goals within healthy and safe boundaries that are going to allow us to live a full life that is fruitful, that is pleasing to God, and that is where we have this balance between our part and his part. So if you guys kind of like this conversation, my wife and I actually teach on spirit-driven success principles in a community together. I'm going to drop a link. It's free to access if you want to join us. And we talk a lot about biblical success principles as we go after vision in business and in life. We'd love to have you join us. We'll drop the link below this video.